Did anyone else see Tucker Carlson's speech at a TPUSA event a few days ago? It was at Indiana University, and I bet you haven't because TPUSA only uploaded the full version to Rumble and not YouTube. And I'm about to show you why.
Your dad was in the CIA, and I was wondering, does our government even want war to stop? Do they want conflicts to end? It seems like we have a difference of interests where we're getting told one thing and the other is happening, and I feel like there's not enough communication between different sects of government, and I really think the deep state's controlling everything, and we have no control.
Well, let me start at, obviously, you probably sense that I agree with a lot of that. Obviously, leave my father out of it. I'm gonna have to kick your ass, which I could do, by the way, if you bring him up again, because he was a wonderful man, whatever, he did for a living. So I really do hate that. But leaving that aside, and don't test me, son.
Pardon? I'm gonna kick your ass if you talk about how my dad was in the CIA, boy. What? Okay, well, here's a clip of what Tucker said prior to taking questions.
I love the idea of people being able to ask any question they want.
But you don't like this question? I wonder why.
I just feel like, no. Why don't you answer the question?
It seems like every time Tucker is pushed on this subject, he resorts to insults and, clearly violent threats. Because, we saw this with Nick Fuentes. Remember, he was so mad that Nick Fuentes knew about his dad's CIA affiliation that he then was like, this gay kid in his basement, this loser. That's weird. And also not very Christian, Tucker. And then with this guy, he's like, I'll kick your ass. Ha. No, but seriously. That's weird. You don't look like, oh, ha, he's so funny. That's weird. Yeah, Tucker Carlson doesn't want you to bring up his dad because if you looked into his dad, you would know that he worked in conjunction with the CIA during the Cold War. And it's also funny because it was during this time that Operation or Project Mockingbird kind of originated, which was the CIA's effort to propagandize a nation through media. That's interesting. I agree with Tucker on a lot because I'm an American Christian, right? That's who he claims to represent. But when I look at Tucker and I really listen to what he's saying, the verse that comes to mind is, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheeply clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. And that is Matthew 7:15. Here's a clip of Tucker later in the show talking about freedom of speech. And please pay attention to what he says.
And I would say free speech benefits, by definition, the powerless. So if you don't have a lot of money, and clearly, your vote isn't going to turn an election, what do you have? You have your conscience, you have your voice. So traditionally, and this is why it's enshrined in the Bill of Rights, the freedom of speech is the weapon of the powerless. It's all they have, is their voice. That's it, okay? And their ability to assemble and petition and make noise and all that, right? This is what liberals used to say all the time, and I always agree with them. And you will find in every society, every time, the people who are against the exercise of free speech are the powerful. You find this in, the potentates of the Middle East. Who's against free speech in Saudi? Well, the king, obviously. In every country, that's the case, and it's true in ours. So that's just a point I would make.
He has this huge emphasis on advocating for the powerless, but then when you put those beliefs into practice, you have him calling people gay, threatening violence. Okay, and he was threatening somebody for asking questions and calling attention to his family's connections to intelligence agencies and other powerful entities. That's quite hypocritical, isn't it? Yeah, Tucker loves questions and he loves freedom of speech until he gets asked this question. And I think we can kind of discern why that is, because it's obviously he has something to hide. Obvious. And Tucker tries to come off as such as simple, goofy, common American man, just a regular Joe. And it's odd, first of all, because he's almost a billionaire by estimates. And hey, I don't want him to get mad at me like he did with the student at that university and say, oh, I'm going to beat your ass if you talk about my net worth. Okay, well, I'll just put a clip up. Tucker is really good at being charming in the sense of he tells you what you want to hear, especially from someone in his position. But to quote Tucker, during this same speech.
Doubt your sincerity, and I think
Okay,
at
well,
this
then
point in
that's
your
then
career,
that's your problem.
I'm trying to understand it because it makes no sense. Like, you're worth $50 million.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the fucking internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff.
Oh.
$50 million?
Go back to cable news.
Sorry.
No, but I'm just, look.
Okay,
remember,
you're too annoying. You're too annoying. So I like the last chick who like disagreed with me, and then we could have like a normal conversation.
All right.
But you're like telling me you're worth $50 million. Wait, stop.
Okay, you got real defensive there. I just read a number that's like a lot of money. Jesus Christ, calm down.
Don't use that phrase.
You're worth.
We're done.
Just be cautious because there is such a thing as controlled opposition. And I think Tucker might be a really good example of being controlled.
And I do know, I'm not shilling, I just happen to know some of the people who work in the administration who are people who agree with you strongly.
Another example of Tucker's powerful connections. He has friends inside the administration, and he actually has people inside the administration too. His son, Buckley Carlson, is deputy press secretary for no other than J.D. Vance, vice president. And interestingly enough, J.D. Vance has CIA connections as well. His mentor, since way back in his Yale days, Peter Thiel, co-founder of Palantir. Wait. It's almost like they're all connected. You know, now you can kind of look at the interview or the speech of Tucker and be like, you know, it's really weird that he didn't want to talk about his dad being in the CIA. I think everybody should keep poking and prodding because it seems like Tucker has a lot to hide. And I mean, it's common knowledge Tucker applied to the CIA fresh out of college, but was denied. He then went on to become one of the biggest media moguls ever. That's interesting. You should also look into what he was into in college in the Iran-Contras affair.
Think big picture for a second. You know what I mean?